I often get asked, how's the market looking? Is it a good time to buy or sell? And just what are things looking like in the market? I also realize that most real estate stats that you guys get to see are either national or associated with larger cities like LA, New York, or Miami. So I want to start providing on a month-to-month basis stats for the St. Louis market. In this video, I'll be covering stats associated with St. Louis County and St. Louis City. Because the January stats were recently released, I'll be covering January 2019 to 2024, only observing the months of January. Beyond that, we'll look at the total stats for 2023, and in order to provide further context, I've also pulled stats from 2018, 2020, and 2022 for St. Louis County, as well as 2022 for St. Louis City. Hopefully by the end of it, you'll have a better idea of where we're at in the market. And please bear with me, this is going to be my first video report of these statistics. I'm hoping that throughout the year, I'll become more proficient in delivering stats that are helpful to you. And in order to do so, I'd love to hear feedback from all of you on what additional stats might be useful or what stats I might have provided that you really didn't find useful. I do want to mention that I can also find stats for more niche markets. So if you're interested in stats for your particular municipality, feel free to reach out. I may not make a video, but I can certainly send you that data. Even further, if you're interested in receiving a valuation for your home, I can certainly provide that as well. There's a certain degree of opinion involved in valuations, so I'd be happy to break down exactly how I got to that value. And beyond that, I do want to mention that I am a licensed realtor in Missouri. So if you're interested in buying or selling now or in the future, please don't hesitate to reach out. So we'll start by looking through all the data for St. Louis County, and then we'll move on to the St. Louis City data. To begin with St. Louis County, I want to take a look at the January data specifically. This January, we had 840 new listings, which is up 9.4% from last January. We also had 820 pending sales, which is up 11.4% from last year, and 611 closed sales, up 5.9% from last year. In terms of value, we actually saw the median sales price decrease by 9.6%, down to $199,999. Compare that to January 2023, when the median sales price was $221,300. And the average sales price also saw a decrease of 6.9%, down to $299,048, compared to last January, which was $321,044. That's a 6.9% decrease. One thing worth noting about St. Louis County data is that there's a massive difference between the average sales price and the median sales price. A majority of homes are going to trade closer to that median sales price. However, the ceiling price in St. Louis County can go very high, which skews that average to a much higher level. So it's always worthwhile to look at both the median and the average sales price to get a better outlook on the data. Because this is such a broad geographic area and real estate is such a local business, the data can be misinterpreted or misleading. So again, if you'd like me to send you data on your particular municipality, please don't hesitate to reach out. Finally, you'll see that the percent of list price received was 98.3%, which is up 0.9% January over January. And inventory of homes for sale is 1,130, which was down 4.5% from last January, with month's supply of inventory remaining the same at 1.1. Again, this data is only based on January. I'm sure a lot of you see the 98.3% of list price received and you're really questioning that because what you've seen is that homes are so often going over list price. As we progress through the year, you'll see many more 100+% of list price received. For instance, the spring and summer markets can be a bit more competitive, so you'll see several months where that percent of list price received is over 100%. If you're wondering what month supply of inventory means, it means that based on all the properties on the market, it would take that many months to go through the total supply based on the current pace of the market. So in the case of January, it would take 1.1 months for the market to churn through those 1,130 properties on the market. Obviously, not every one of those properties will sell, but it gives you a pretty good idea of where our supply levels are at. Next, we'll look at the townhouse and condo data. So you see new listings are down 12.8%. Pending sales are down 11.9%. Closed sales are up 5.4%. Median sales price is up 16.7%. Average sales price is up 3.7%. Percent of list price is up 1%. Inventory of homes for sale is down 6.5%. And month supply of inventory remains the same at 0.9 months. Pretty incredible that it would take less than a month to churn through the current inventory on the market. Then I want you to take a look at these graphs. They're really interesting because you can see that the residential detached or single family homes in St. Louis County average at a higher price point than the rest of the MLS. Compare that to townhouses and condos where they actually average under the rest of the MLS. You'll see that the St. Louis City charts look a little bit different. If you're wondering if a single family home or a condo would be better for you, feel free to look back at one of my old videos where I compare the value of a condo versus single family home. I'll link it in the description below. Now we'll take a look at the St. Louis County January data from 2019 to 2024. So we can see how this January stacked up against the last 5 years. So new listings are obviously up from 2023, but they're actually lower than every year before that. The highest we saw was 2020 with 1,024 new listings in January, and then you can see the data that follows. Interestingly, January 2024 saw the same amount of sales pending as did January 2020. My favorite stats to look at that are indicative of where we're at in the market are the average and median sales price as well as the month supply of inventory. So you can see that the average sales price since 2021, this is again just January over January, has actually trended downward a bit. So it was $322 back in 2021, down to $299 January 24. And the median sales price was a little more volatile over those years. While the average sales price saw that steady trend downward, the median sales price jumped from $225,000 in 2021 up to $237,000 in 2022. Back down to $226,000 in 23, and then down to $199,000 in 2024. For month supply inventory, in 2020 we had 1.9 month supply of inventory, and in January 2024 we're at 1.1. The townhouse and condo data looks a little bit different. Both the median and average sales price have actually seen a steady incline from 2020 to 2024. The 2019 to 2020 median was a slight decline, but the average was actually increased year over year there as well. And then in terms of month supply of inventory, we're up from the bottom, but we're overall trending a little bit lower. So we had 2.2 months of inventory back in 2019. We bottomed at 0.8 in 2022 and 23, and now we're slightly up from that at 0.9 months. In order to give you better context leading up to January 2024, I want to provide previous year's data. So year to date, 2023 compared to 2022. So these are total year numbers. New listings were down 6.9%. Pending sales were down 5.7%. Closed sales were down 8.7%. Days on market until sale were up 17.4%. And it's important to note that 27 days on market is still a very low average for days on market. Median sales price has increased by 1%, and the average sales price is up 1.2%. Percent of list price received is down 1.1%, but it's still over 100%. And that is total year over year from 2022 to 2023. Then for townhouses and condos, you'll see that new listings are down 9.9%, pending sales down 13.3%, closed sales down 16%, days on market up 13.6% to 25 days, still very low, still under a month. Median sales price has gone up 7.8%. And average sales price has gone up 11.5%. Percent of list price is down 0.9%. Still averaging over 100% of that list price. So actually, if you're comparing the single family versus the townhouse and condo, townhouses and condos actually saw a higher rate of appreciation based on the median and average sales price. And that's a particularly interesting stat because when you look back at the charts, the single family homes trend higher than the rest of the MLS, where the townhouse and condos actually average under the rest of the MLS. So it's interesting on this year to see that the townhouses and condos showed a higher rate of appreciation than the single family homes did. So then looking at December 2022, we can see what past data looked like. For single-family homes in 2022, the average sales price and the median sales price had gone up 2.6% and 3.2% respectively. Townhouses and condos again outperformed, seeing 5.6% increase in median and 3.8% increase in average sales price. And then we'll look at 2020. This is where single family really took the cake. So you'll see that the median sales price from 2019 to 2020 had actually gone up 9.5% year over year. The average sales price had gone up 7.8%, and the percent of list price received had gone up 1.3%. But it was still averaging under 100%, which is interesting to note. Compare that to townhouses and condos. They also saw that appreciation as we'd seen. They've been performing for a while, so they went up 5.3% year over year on the median and 2.7% on the average sales price. And then go all the way back to 2018, pre-pandemic. You can see that from 2017 to 2018, the median and average sales price both saw the same increase of 5.3%. And then for townhouses and condos, the median went up 3.1% and the average went up 6%. And then we'll look at the St. Louis County graphs again. You can see these trend lines. This top chart is what we saw on the initial PowerPoint. It's 2014 to 2024. You can see the difference between single family and townhouse condo. I also pulled some charts all the way back from 2009, And that's interesting because when you start with the 2014 data, you only see the uptrend. But in 2009, you can see the single family a little more wavy and then upwards. And then the townhouses and condos actually saw a much sharper decline and then have since recovered, but it took from about 2008 to 2017 was a very even price. So it took a long time to bottom and come up, which probably gives us a good idea of why we saw such consistent appreciation for the townhouses and condos over the last 5 years, considering the fall that they'd had from 2008 to 2017. Now we'll look at St. Louis City. For St. Louis City, I didn't go all the way back to 2018, but I did want to give you some context, so I pulled the 2022 data as it's compared to 2021, as well as the total 2023 data, and then we'll get to the January update. So in 2022, you'll see an increase of 5% on the median sales price and 6.2% on the average. For townhouses and condos, you see a 7% uptick in median and 6.9% in average sales price. And then in 2023, you can see that single family median was up 4% and the average is up 0.8%, compared to townhouses and condos where the median is up 8.6% and the average is up 9%. And interestingly here, in St. Louis County, you see the average trend much higher on single family than on townhouses and condos. But when you look at St. Louis City, the median and average for townhouses and condos actually trend higher than the single family homes. So then we'll look at the January data. We were down 10.4 on new listings, up 15.8% on pending sales, and then the average sales price saw an increase of 0.6%. Median sales price saw an increase of 7.6% to $188,000 and $203,000 respectively. For townhouses and condos, we saw 12.2% increase in the median and a 4.9% increase in the average to $230,000 and $265,000 respectively. And then again, when you look at the charts, you see that this for St. Louis City, the residential single family trends lower than the rest of the MLS, whereas the townhouses and condos actually trend higher than the rest of the MLS by a pretty significant degree, although that gap has tightened drastically over the last 3 years or so. Back in 2014, that gap was pretty significant. Then looking at January's for the last 6 years, you can see the general trend line. So the median sales price has steadily gone up year over year. The average sales price saw that dip from 2019 to 2020, trended upward to $212,000 in 22, down in 23, and then down just a little bit again in 2024. So that's again just January over January. We've actually seen a decline in that average sales price, despite there still being an increase in the median sales price. And then for month supply of inventory, we're at much better levels for month supply in St. Louis City than in the county. We have 1.8 month supply in January 2024, compared to the 1.1 that we had last month in St. Louis County. And then for townhouses and condos, you can see the median sales price was a little bit volatile from 2019, going up in 2020, up in 2021, up dramatically in 2022, down in 23, and then back up in 2024. For the average sales price, you see it go down pretty dramatically actually between 2019 and 2020, then up significantly in 2021, up again in 22, up in 23, and up in 24. And then for month supply of inventory, we're actually at a pretty healthy level in St. Louis City as well, with 2.9 months supply of inventory. And then looking at the St. Louis City graphs, you can see the residential detached. You see the incline from 2009 to 2013. A little decline around to, 2017. And then it's been on a nice uptrend since then. For townhouses and condos, it was a downtrend from 2008 to 2015. And then it's on an interesting curve from 2017 up to 2019. And then you fast forward from 2019 to 2024, and you see that nice uptick in valuation. And then for the single family, when you go from 2014 to 2024, it's a pretty nice looking line. Like I said, I hope this data was helpful. I'm hoping to get better at it as the year progresses. So please give me feedback and we will keep building from here. Thanks for watching.